All right, we're back with Miss Linda Bamber and the WavWatch, the sound frequency watch, one of our favorite, if not the best, most popular products on our wonderful list of energy and frequency. Linda, how you doing today? Nice to see you.
I'm really excited. I love to come on and talk with you. We just talk, don't we?
Me too. We just have so much fun. And, there's just so many great things that we can talk about with the watch. And as you know, our sales of the watch are absolutely exploding right now. And, for anybody that's out there, if you're seeing this video for the first time, you're not sure what the Wave Watch is. It's a sound frequency watch, right? So basically, you have the watch, you turn it on, and you've got 1,000 frequencies that you can run through that watch, and it hopefully you can see that there, but it is
Yes.
super user friendly. You can scroll through to any section, and then if I pick anything, we'll just say detox is right there in the middle. It's going to give me a whole host of frequencies, and if I just press one of those frequencies, it's running the frequency right now. I can turn up the volume, and I need to charge my watch. I ran it all last night. But basically, what it does is it sends frequencies into your wrist. It comes with this really phenomenal book, which is your frequency guide handbook that has all your stuff on it. Instructions. It's very simple, very easy to use. You just saw me go through it, but it comes with that. Comes in a great little package, which is totally cool. Comes with the charger. It just uses like kind of a standard cell phone charger, so it's really not a big deal. But Linda, when I run it, like last night, I charged it at about 4 o'clock for 20, 30 minutes. It ran until about 7 or 8 o'clock this morning. Now there's 1,000 frequencies. And for me personally, people always ask, what frequencies do I use the most? I know in our last call, we talked about emotions and stuff like that, but I use it a lot. Last night I ran it for mouth, teeth, and gums. And for me, a lot of stuff's prevention. I have had like tooth pain. I ran it for tooth pain. 2 days later, I forgot I had tooth pain. I'm like, oh, that's right. I was running the watch. I did it at night. I've been doing it a lot for enlarged prostate, which, is something that I've been dealing with. With men, I think it's really common. They're getting up, going to the bathroom 4 or 5 times a night, sometimes more. That's really helped it a lot. One thing I have learned that I should probably run it once or twice a week for maintenance, just to kind of keep that in check,
Mhm.
because I'm not really even sure what's causing it. I don't think most people are, but run it for headaches. I've got a friend of mine, my good friend, my coworker, has been running it for a week for muscle spasms for his back. Really helped him out. He's getting through work a lot better. There's everything in the watch. There's 1,000 frequencies. Detox, weight loss, one of my favorites. Parasites, parasite removal. Um, Frequencies for men, frequencies for women. There's everything, and it just people are like, well, they're always asking these questions. It's like punch in a frequency, put on your watch, get on your computer, call your best friend, start doing your routine, and you're going to forget you're even wearing it. So, with that being said, it's such a great technology. And every time we have a call, we talk about certain stuff. So, what would you like to get into today, or any feedback that you'd like to share?
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit today about the alpha gal, which is a
Okay.
problem connected to ticks. And the reason I'm wanting to give and share information is because it's springtime and people are starting to get out and they're moving around and they're getting covered with ticks, or they could be. And you can, set your body up ahead of time to be functioning better and keep your immune system up so that hopefully you can avoid problems with it, because people are
Right.
not realizing that really Lyme's disease is contagious, but we can pick it up from anywhere and anything. It's just not from a
Wow.
tick bite anymore. So things have been changed a lot. I'm sure you know a lot about tick bites and Lyme disease and the
Yeah.
whole
Well,
scenario
actually,
with
there's
Lyme,
a friend of
Connecticut.
mine out in LA that bought the watch specifically to run the Lime. I'm just going to put it up to the computer. I know it's probably backwards, but
It
there's a
isn't. It's
whole
good.
icon dedicated just to Lime. And when you go into that, I think, Linda, there's 14 frequencies that are under Lime. And
It's
people will
actually
say,
22 because I
oh,
can read it
22
right
with the new
there.
improved watch, right? That was the
Yep.
old 850, 22. And so what's really nice is that you can just start with the first frequency and then hit repeat all files, and it'll run the first, then the second, then the third, then the fourth. So you don't have to go in and manually do that. If you want to just focus on Lyme, you can go right into that category, start with number one, repeat and run all frequencies in the file. So Lyme especially is really a big deal. A lot of people that have it, it's a lot more serious than initially I really understood until I knew people that actually have Lyme. But that is really that's very debilitating for people when they get that.
And people are not recognizing and realizing that there's 350 different diseases that are associated with Lyme disease. And they could get bit by a tick and, be sick for 25 years, not know exactly what it is. And it's Lyme disease. And they're finally diagnosed 25 years later. I've had several people like that. Or a whole family can get Lyme disease, and it's one person in the family gets it first, and then living, together in close quarters, whatever, it passes. So whole families pick it up, and then they all have a different health problem because there could be 350 different ideas that it could bother. And so they're not picking up on that either. So Lyme's disease started in Lyme, Connecticut, if you haven't heard this story for your listeners. But it
Yeah.
was in the 70s, and they had a bunch, I don't know the exact number, of teenage boys that came up with rheumatoid arthritis. So they really sent a group of scientists to Lyme, Connecticut to try to figure out what was going on. And it took them 7 years to decide that it was this tick bite that had started some of this problem. And so they named it Borrelia burgdorferi after the lead scientist, on the case. But what they forgot to tell us was that Lyme, Connecticut was a germ warfare research
Right.
station.
Yes, and there were some wonderful gentlemen from Operation Paperclip that were imported into that lab to work on all kinds of wonderful things. And I don't know the entire story, but the word is that perhaps by coincidence they might have been working on that and it accidentally leaked out, or who knows.
Yes.
But here
So
we
that's
are.
what I really want to talk about today is one more problem that's coming up, and it's called alpha gal. Have you heard about that one?
I have not. That's a new term for me.
Yes, and it was for me too. A couple years ago, I kind of started hearing about it and hadn't really studied much on it. But it's pretty important because it's another one of those things. They hadn't heard of this problem until about the 2000s, and 2000. And what it is a meat allergy. So people become allergic to eating red meats. And that had never happened before. And now all of a sudden they have 500,000 cases of people that projectile vomit from eating meat, and some of them can even smell it cooking, and they have, allergic reactions to it. And of course, it comes down to the fact that it is related to ticks. So could they have messed something else up? Could they have experimented in some different way? Because
Seems like
this
those
is
ticks are
slowly,
pretty useful for, you know,
yeah,
carrying little
yeah. So,
bugs and germs. And
mhm. So a whole different disease is popping up that we didn't know about. So you want me to go ahead and share my screen,
let's do
or
it. Actually, I
ready?
need to do share screen and let you get on there. Boom, we're good.
Okay. And let's see. Got one more. I also have a new phrase I kind of want to introduce to people, but alpha gal is what I was talking about with the red meat allergies. But the WavWatch is using something called the mortal oscillation rate to try to get rid of it. So let's see if we can kind of go through a few ideas. And Sean, I get so excited about this, you'll probably have to tell me when to slow down and cut off.
Good. I
This
love
is
it.
in,
You go.
you know.
Yeah.
So you've already told your listening audience about the WavWatch and showed them some things. And I just want to remind people that you can use it for your pets. This is a anxious pet. This is Tucker that was having anxiety. Little boy, isn't that precious? You know, that was his
Yeah,
mom's
that
watch,
is.
but all of a sudden it became his watch.
And Linda, just real quick, there's a whole section just for kids. Like, not
Yes.
only does the child have the watch, but there's a whole subset. And I mean, like, so many things for kids, ADHD, all that stuff that they're trying to use, other pharmaceuticals, whatever. But, go ahead. I'm sorry, but yes.
Oh no, that's what we need to do is you tell what your audience needs to know, you know. So that's why I try to
Yes.
show kids can
Yeah, I
use
love
this.
that. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Because
then veterans and their wives and everybody in between, all of us can use the
PTSD,
WavWatch. Mhm.
yeah,
Definitely.
we talked about that on our emotions video, the last video we did with, like even the heart, right? And all the different things that go with stored emotions and how that breaks down your health. And you can release those emotions through sound frequencies. You have the solfeggio frequencies built into that as well, which is kind of a subset that goes under the emotions category. Is that right?
Yes. It's in there. Mhm. Yeah. So many ways you can use it. And so I think Sean's kind of already showed you this pretty good. There's 3 swipe screens and there's 4 ways to repeat the frequency. So I might show you that just a little bit. Here's a minute and it doesn't have much sound at all. It's not supposed to, I'm not talking at all. And you have the ability to create playlists, although I've already created playlists for you. So this detox one, you just touch it, or the Lyme one, you just open it up and it's already a playlist. I've gone
Right.
through the 1,000 ideas and picked everything out of there that has to do with Lyme disease. Go
Right.
ahead.
And Linda, just real quick, in the book, all the frequencies are listed under the subset. So if you don't want to go through the watch to look at them, you can just grab the book and say, okay, what's under organs or whatever. So it's really easy to find, and then you can get to the subset. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're not. We're flowing. Hey, we're doing good.
We are
So
flowing.
here's just a little, just showing you, it's just touching it.
And that section down there where you hit the rotate, that's where you hit the repeat. So that's how quick and easy it is. It's so easy to use. In all honesty, people love it for its simplicity as much as anything else because for me, honestly, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but for me, it's just so simple. I don't like, in all honesty, I really don't like reading instructions. I like to just pick it up and mess with it. And if I have to read instructions, I will eventually, but it'll be begrudgingly. But this thing is so simple and so easy that you don't even need to do that. That's how simple and easy it is. That's a great video.
And it's just so short. And, if you need help, I'm sorry, but check with a 10-year-old. They'll know how to
Exactly.
do it. Seriously.
Exactly.
They have these kind of, tools and things that they press so they can do it.
Yeah.
So it was loud and that's at full blast. So then you turn it down to a lower setting, about 4 to 8, and then people cannot hear it. So you don't necessarily want people to hear it. You want your body to be absorbing it. So that's the whole idea with it. And this whole WavWatch is built on kind of a Rife machine. And I think I have a picture here in just a few minutes. So I won't say too much, but they have really changed over the years. And here's what we are doing with different types of pathogens and the alpha gal that we're going to talk about a little bit more. But they've known for a long time that there's something called mortal oscillatory rate, and that every single structure that has DNA, it will self-amplify. So when we send in a matching frequency into your body, and you've got that same frequency from a parasite or alpha gal or whatever, it's sitting in there vibrating, and you send the same frequency in, they will meet and they will self-amplify and fall apart or kill itself or whatever phrasing you want to put to that. So it can destroy microbes. And here is an example right here. Looks like maybe I need to, oops, did the wrong thing. There we go. So now you can see it all. So you can see this one cell organism is exposed to a frequency of 1,150. That is a sound frequency that we could actually hear. This watch is between 20 and 20,000. So it's right there. So they exposed it to this frequency, and you can see that it falls apart. And they know that this can be done, but it's not being shared with us very much, is it, Sean?
It's not, but you know what's really beautiful is that that was technology they figured out over 100 years ago. And so Royal Rife, who came, was kind of a protege of Tesla. He worked for a microscope company called Zeiss, and he developed a microscope in the 1920s that had over 6,000 working parts. It did 60,000 time magnification. God bless his soul. 60,000 times magnification. The electron microscope used up until 4 or 5 years ago was the only thing that could do anything close, and he had to look at everything dead. Mr. Rife was basically looking at those organisms that you just showed us and actually running frequencies through those until he could figure out what the oscillation rate was. And this was all technology. He knocked it out of the park. He did an amazing job. It's really a sad story of what happened kind of with when he really started getting into this. But all of his studies and all of his science was all well founded. It's all 100% proven. And there's multiple generations of technology that have come from his work. And I have the utmost respect for this guy because of who he was, what he was doing over 100 years ago, what he went through to bring that technology to us. And now we've got these wonderful devices like the WavWatch, where we're basically utilizing a lot of the work that he did and doing it in a way where the general public can really get benefits from it. So I'm so happy you're bringing him into this story because he's just such an amazing guy.
And I just love all the information. You knew more than I did about the microscope company. That's so amazing. But this is what his tool looked like, and it was fairly big, as the decades went by. But still, the latest Rife technology is fairly big, costs thousands of dollars, and you have to sit there and hold brass bars. And some people have to put their feet on a plate. So some different types of technology there. And today, it's pretty much in the WaveWatch.
It
And the
is.
book went from being this thick and a book to just a little booklet. So that's what we're doing.
It's such a beautiful story. And the beautiful part about it, Linda, it's 100% physics, it's 100% proven. And Mr. Rife, with the results that he got with the frequency-based technology, he knocked it out of the park. 100 years ago, they were giving him credit for basically knocking out just about any ailment, any disease. And so it's really just very simple, basic physics. And he was the first guy that really put the science to it and really showed in real time that it really worked because of the work that he was able to do with the microscope and show everything in real time.
And, Sean, I think what happened is that, this is my idea, and we can say everything we want about a theory, but what I didn't know when I started working on this is how quick it worked, and I think that's why Rife was literally wiped out because other, interests
Yes.
liked wanted, and they did develop medicines, and medicines do have a chemical wave, and that wave goes through your body about a foot a second, and it's so slow that your body burns it up. There's only 2% left of that wave by the time it moves through your body. And so therefore, when you're taking a prescription, you have to take it over and over and over again. And that generates more money, where frequencies, they work fast. They zip you through your body faster than the speed of sound. So huge differences in that. And of course, Rife was wiped out and frequencies were made illegal for years. But at some point in time, they started using them again. And now we have MRIs and, CAT scans and all kinds of things like that use frequencies, lithotripsy, that kind of thing. And here's what we have on the WaveWatch. We have this wearable technology with MOR, mortal oscillatory rate on them, So those have been measured. I put them on the WaveWatch so you can walk around, your house and you're getting rid of the flu. It's more cost effective. It's not invasive. There's not side effects, seriously. And it's easy to update. And then again, the sound travels faster than the chemical waves. So
Right.
you are accessing these libraries that are on the WaveWatch for many kinds of pathogens and microbes and things.
Right. And
So
Linda, real quick, some of those frequencies will dissipate and get rid of a pathogen. Some of them make the cells dance, and some of them are frequencies that the cells love, that they resonate with, that enhances their performance. So there's a multitude of
yes,
different things that those sound frequencies can do. So technically, yes, they can get rid of the bad cells, but they can also what we call make the healthy cells sing. And when the healthy cells sing, that's really good for a whole host of other benefits that come with the body. So,
I love how you said that. So microbes, we're trying to get rid of them. We're trying to break them down. And, like if we're working our organs, we're trying to make them dance, trying to make them perform better, tune up, that kind of thing. So I love it.
mhm,
So, I just kind of wanted to remind everybody out there that springtime is Lyme time, And so I
mhm.
wanted to show you all of the microbes that we have that could be helpful. And the one I wanted to tell you about the most is one that you may not have heard of. Now, there is a short video. I'm not going to play it because everything is said right on here. This comes from, oh my gosh, I think this was CNN, maybe. I've actually forgotten where I got it from. But whoops. But anyway, doctors miss the symptoms of this meat allergy, and it's linked to the Lone Star tick. And this is directly from the CDC. And guess what? 42% of doctors surveyed had never heard of this alpha-gal syndrome, a tick-borne illness that can be life-threatening with this allergy to meat. Then it goes on, it has afflicted thousands, and they're actually saying over 500,000. Isn't that
Wow,
something?
that
So
is really something. And
guess who's going to tell you about the alpha-gal syndrome?
you
Your
are,
neighbors. More
yeah,
people know about it more than the doctors do. That is really interesting. So
it
that's why I
is.
thought I'd share it one more time so that you could share it with other people because they're not finding out about it from their doctors. So it's very
So,
important.
yeah. So if they have the symptoms of that, would they run the Lyme frequencies then? Since
Yes.
is that okay?
Yeah. So here's what the syndrome is. It's that, a tick bite, but it's that their saliva has a molecule, a sugar molecule. And I don't know why they didn't call it sugar gal or something, but they called it alpha gal. But when this enters your bloodstream, then you become sensitive to red meat. And I mean, you can be projectile vomiting, you can be vomiting all night. It's just a terrible allergy. It's very harmful. So there's so many products that have meat in it that we don't realize. We're just not talking about when you eat a hamburger. We're talking about makeup. Some different medications have meat in them. So lots of things set people off. So I just wanted to educate people or, show people and then, work through that. But it is related to Lyme. Now, I have a really long testimony here, and I don't know that I necessarily need to read it all, but this person was in 2021, had the WavWatch. I did some testing on them, and they used the WavWatch. And it took a couple of months, but it was her husband. And the reason I showed her is because she's a former student of mine. I used to teach school 2 hours away from here, and 20 years ago, she was one of my students.
Oh my
So I
God, that's
thought that
awesome.
was so I thought that was fun. And she, came up and, you can stop this and read this whole testimony. But I suggested that they increase their minerals, and I made them a little homeopathic remedy, which is frequencies. And then they used the WaveWatch Lyme's disease folder and ate the GAPS diet for 2 months. And then if we read down here a little bit lower, to date, we have not met anyone else who has been over to overcome this problem. But we did some hard work and, uh, intentional work to heal the gut and hearty doses of prayer, coupled with the body reset offered by the WaveWatch, has been a miracle cure that we are still celebrating with every bite of a hamburger. Isn't that
Wow.
interesting? And
Really interesting.
that's because doctors tell you there isn't anything to do with it. You just have to avoid tick bites. Would you like that? You know, that's their advice. Avoid tick bites, you
Yes.
know? And so anyway, it's kind of a long story. People don't usually believe Shane actually had this, especially when they see him sit and eat a piece of steak. I wanted to be sure to build validity into the story. And we still have our scans to prove it all. We're so thankful for the WavWatch, you know. So it might be a possibility. I'm not saying it's 100%, but it could at least give you some hope and let you know that there is a connection with the Lyme disease and the alpha gal and many other kinds of Lyme problems. So this is a list of everything that has meat byproducts in it that could make people allergic, you know? So,
So isn't it like a pathogen or something that's in the body that triggers when it gets connected with the meat? Like, do you know what
no,
that is?
it's that sugar molecule is all it is. The saliva contains this sugar molecule, and when it enters the bloodstream, you become sensitive to red meat. Isn't
Wow,
that crazy?
it
And
really
they've never
is.
heard of that before. So, Sean, I insinuated that earlier that, that's kind of weird. We've never had this disease, and all of a sudden in 2000, now we have this disease where people can't eat meat. It just doesn't quite make sense to me. So it seems like there's some, I'm not sure many words, nefarious things behind the scenes that could be causing this, and it's just like
Yeah,
Lyme disease. We had Lyme disease. They said something about Columbus, cross it,
yeah,
hundreds of years ago. They knew about Lyme disease, but it wasn't this. It wasn't what we call Lyme disease now. So you can
right.
get this from eating, or you can have a reaction if you eat a marshmallow or a jelly bean. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
If you swallow gel capsules, so maybe just this sensitivity, if people have an unusual sickness or illness that they have not been able to tie down, maybe some of these ideas would be helpful. So vaccines contain quote unquote gelatin, and you could have a reaction because of this. Anything that's in your body that, prosthetic heart valves from cows and pigs, I don't even think about those kind of things, um, cow's milk. You could be drinking milk, and if you've been bitten by a tick and he injected you with this alpha gal sugar molecule, all of a sudden you could be allergic to cow's milk and you've never been before in your life, So it's very scary that it causes such weird things and can cause anaphylactic shock, and people can die from it very, very quickly. So a lot of times they are waking up in the middle of the night with this allergy. Other food allergies they occur pretty quickly, but they say you might eat something at night and then you wake up in the middle of the night having this problem. And so people aren't connecting it.
Right.
So I thought these are some weird things that I might show because it's so strange, but they found it in the Lone Star tick. And so they said, oh, it's not really a problem. And now they're saying 8 other kinds of ticks are causing this. So there's all kinds of ticks. Everything has ticks, in the wild. And you're just not going to get away from ticks. You may not have been bitten. And I think I forgot to read something really important on that testimony that I mentioned earlier, or that I kind of read earlier. But her husband, Shane, went out and put up a deer stand and found himself in a nest of ticks. He
Oh
spent the
God.
next he spent the next hours and then even the following couple of days removing them. He quit counting when he had removed 400 ticks from his body.
My God.
you know and so they say the more you get bit, that the bigger your chances are to get this. And, he got overwhelmed with 400 ticks, but it could be that you had 2 tick bites one week and 3 tick bites another week, and another week you had, it can add up either way. So it's taking about 7 years for people to be diagnosed. Can you imagine being allergic to meat products for that long and not being diagnosed? Now, there's another problem. They're also saying that chiggers can lead to alpha gal. You know,
Of course.
so, you
Why
know,
leave
what,
them out? Yeah.
yeah, what kind of a problem have we got here? Um, People who are having IBS problems, it's easily confused with IBS. So those symptoms, if you're looking that up and you don't get any results from IBS, work that's being done or whatever, it could be, that you actually have a different problem. And again, it's from the guts and the saliva of ticks. And don't forget, people can even have an attack when they inhale the meat, or excuse me, the meat fumes. Have you ever heard of
Jeez.
that? You
Never.
know, you know,
Never.
and this one is the one that got me too. They now have bred alpha gal free pigs. We can't live without our bacon, I guess.
I
So
guess.
somebody did some
I
work
mean,
there. That's a big
exactly.
problem. Yeah,
It
that's a big
is.
problem.
So there's a movie on it's on YouTube and it was on Netflix called What the Health. And they basically talk about how 70% of pharmaceuticals produced are actually going into animals.
Yeah.
And there is no testing. And it's like, it's one of those don't ask, don't tell policies, but
Mhm.
70% of the pharmaceuticals produced are actually used for animals. And I'm just wondering what they're doing to make those little pigs alpha gal free. But I'm going to probably just put it out there, and I'm just randomly guessing they don't wear the WavWatch.
Yes.
It's just me.
Yeah.
It's just
Good
me. But
guess.
if you could put the WavWatch on that little piggy's hand, you would probably save money because you wouldn't need to pay for all the pharmaceuticals.
I mean, aren't we just, so instead of fixing the problem, we just keep developing things and more drugs and, blah, 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 and don't tell people
Exactly.
how to improve themselves or protect themselves, you
Right.
know? So another crazy idea is that I didn't know they had this. Some people are allergic to pork and cat dander. That's actually a pork cat syndrome. Did you know that one?
Wow. I'm learning
That was
stuff
new
every
to me.
day.
Yeah. And so now people are confusing that with the alpha gal, so more and more problems about allergies out there that are just crazy.
Now,
Then
Linda,
this
could
is
it be cats that are eating bacon that are actually causing the problem? Because the cat dander has some type of pork in it. I'm just fishing right there.
see.
Isn't it
But
getting out? It's really getting crazy. It's getting so crazy. I don't even know how I can take some of it seriously. In all honesty, it's like
yeah.
it's
Um,
it's
Now this is a sad one, but many people, it might take them 7 years to get diagnosed. And so they've had exploratory surgeries done. They're just fishing to try to figure out what it is. So they have their gallbladder out or they have something done to them. And they had the alpha gal syndrome. They didn't need exploratory surgery, So the most important thing that I wanted to share with you is people find out about it from other people more
yeah.
than medical tests. So this is the way we've got to protect you is educate us and educate you and let you tell other people or listen to other people. Maybe you have a relative or a loved one that's sick and wow, they're throwing up. They can't eat meat. They might have this alpha gal.
Right.
So you've just learned something and the doctors are missing it. Half of the doctors don't know about it. And that's what they did with Lyme disease for 60 some years, because it was in the 70s. Am I doing my math right? 50 some
Yeah.
years, I'm sorry. They really didn't know a lot about Lyme disease and it slowly worked its way across the country. And I mean, even 5 years ago in Kansas City, there were medical doctors saying, oh, there's no such thing as Lyme disease in Kansas City. It's
Yeah.
all over. It gets carried. Don't forget that if you got on an airplane and your immune system was not good, and somebody on that airplane had Lyme disease, that air is recirculated. So, what do you think can happen, Sean?
Absolutely.
You can get off with Lyme disease, and then it goes crazy because your immune system is low. So,
And
and
it's
you
so
have
hard to
not.
diagnose. Like you said,
Mhm.
it's so hard to diagnose, you know. And in all honesty, I kind of feel sorry for the doctors because I mean, even for us, it's hard for the general public to keep up with it. And for doctors that are already working probably 14, 16-hour days, you know, in a very specialized niche of what they know, the amount of time that they've got to go outside the box and start researching and finding stuff is very
Yeah.
limited. So that's really unbelievable.
Mhm. So Cleveland Clinic is saying there isn't a cure for it. You work with your health care provider to find ways to avoid triggers and stay healthy. Wow, that's a big thing. But that's what we do, Sean, isn't it? We try to help people stay healthy. So this fits right into our niche of things that we can do. And I don't know how much, we want to go into this. I'm kind of winded down a little bit on just alpha gal, but look at all these symptoms: hive, itchy rash, nausea, the vomiting that I mentioned that could be so over the top, heartburn, indigestion, constipation or diarrhea, lots of coughing and shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, blood pressure problems, a lot of swelling, dizziness or faintness, and severe stomach pain. So, huge array of symptoms, but those could be a lot of things. You think, Sean? I
Yeah.
mean, that is hard,
Yeah,
just
they
like you.
absolutely could. And, you know, it's just, I mean, honestly, Linda, that's why I love the watch so much because you can run so many different frequencies. There would be specific frequencies for most of these conditions, but
Mhm.
then you could also go into Lyme. And, you know, like I tell people, I also run the stuff for hair loss. We've talked about inflammation. And I'll say, well, you know, theoretically, my hair is pretty full. You know, I mean, it's not bad, but I'm running it to prevent it from, I want it to stay full, you know? And so
Yeah.
when I run mouth, teeth, and gums, I want to maintain good, healthy gums and teeth. But if you were dealing with any of these individually, most of these are in the watch as
Mhm.
you know, specific frequencies, and you could go after targeting each one of those specific things that you just listed there, and then you could go into Lyme and say, you know what, just to make sure because this has been going on a while, or this doesn't seem right, or you know, like with everything, I always feel like you know we all kind of have our own intuition, and you know we might be thinking you know maybe there might be something else to this that's because it's a little out of the ordinary, and especially depending on how long it's been going on for. But you know when you've got the watch you can basically go in there and just start addressing all these
Mhm.
different symptoms and then go in and run, you know, like even if you you know did a lot of travel and you're picking up different situations like illnesses, you've got flu, you've got fever, you've got Lymes, you've got stuff you can run that would be almost what I would call maintenance frequencies, where you're running them just to keep the body strong and to just clear out and make sure that nothing is starting to build up in there that could start becoming a problem down the road.
Yeah, and I get on an airplane and I set that sucker on, colds and flu or
Yeah,
coronavirus or immune system,
yeah,
and you've got a protective tool with you wherever you go. And to
yeah.
me, that's helpful because I used to take some vitamins and things, and I couldn't take a whole suitcase full of vitamins with me on a trip, that kind of thing.
You know,
Can't
it's
take what
funny.
I need.
I don't want this to be too funny of a pun, but your body becomes a do not fly zone, as in all you little germs, you're not welcome here. It's almost like Linda, you become a little bug zapper, and the minute that they decide to jump on, the frequency's there to zap them and get rid of them. And your little area in your little pod there is a no-fly zone for the pathogens.
Oh, and Sean, we can talk about so much, but I've had testimonies from people on airplanes, and one of them was that they used it for somebody who was sitting beside them and their knee hurt, and they were having knee or joint problems, and they wore it, and both people the pain went away.
Wow.
And then the other day that when we flew, my husband had a soft spot, obviously we all do, for kids on airplanes that are screaming their heads off, when little babies. And he had his WavWatch and he turned it up a little bit for calming and anxiety. And that baby seemed to calm down, and it was in the seat behind us.
Oh
And
my
it had
God,
been
I love
screaming
that.
for 5 minutes or something. So we
That
just
is
put the
awesome.
frequency out. So you can have fun with it, say, I wonder if it'll do
Yeah.
this, try something. So I just wanted to share one thing. The WavWatch is really great for it, and I just really appreciate you letting people know. But I also wanted you to know that the medical community, if you go to them and they think you have Lyme disease, do you know what they do? What their protocol is? 2 years
Mm-mm.
of antibiotics. What's that going to do to your body? You know? So 15 years ago, I found an alternative to 2 years of antibiotics, you know? And really, it's drinking water. It's taking unrefined sea salt up to a teaspoon a day for ladies, which I do that anyway. I love unrefined sea salt. I can talk to you about that for hours. And some bigger guys need up to 3 teaspoons of minerals. And when we have unrefined sea salt, it will replenish 60 to 80 minerals. And putting those minerals back in our body is an immune system support, you know? And then
Right.
take extra vitamin C and vitamin B. And Cataplex is a brand, it's standard process. That is my favorite brand. They're whole food type things. And then add some extra iodine into it. And that's a way to boost your immune system really easily. And that's all I ever do, really. If I put out extra effort, it's take the vitamin C and vitamin B. But I take a teaspoon of salt every day. So,
That's
you
awesome.
know,
And you know, it's so funny is that they've tried to villainize salt, right? And salt is a necessary ingredient for the body, especially iodine. And table salt, which is refined, is really not giving you any value
no.
whatsoever. So when you get into talking about salt and you really identified well the unrefined salt that still has all of its nutrient value and all those minerals, you know, yeah, and people have been programmed to think salt is bad, and I'm not going to disagree with them because certain types of salt are absolutely
They
not good
are.
at all. But your body needs salt to operate. It's your body's an electrical device, and you need salt for all the minerals and everything else. So to think that you're not supposed to eat salt is not the correct answer. The correct answer is avoid the refined table salt. And please, like that's such a good point that you brought that up because the watch is phenomenal, but let's do some of these other things and incorporate these into our lifestyle to maintain and give the body what it needs to maintain healthy function.
It's absolutely necessary. And we don't even know as people that the salts are different colors because they have different minerals in them, you know? And so some people like this salt, their body needs this salt, and some people, their body needs this salt. And some people need Himalayan. I couldn't find my little sample of that. And it's really pink. And it's usually women who need the Himalayan salt that are still having their cycle because that pink color shows you that there's iron in that salt that women need. And we haven't been taught any of that. We know that our animals need a salt lick, out in the forest. People take salt licks for their cows and their deer and even for deer.
Yeah.
But do we have a salt lick? No. We can't have it. So, and then the last thing before I get on too big a kick about lime or about salt, but we've been raised on Morton salt, most of us. And you start looking at Morton salt, it is really more a chemical company. So it
Yeah.
takes, what do you think it does with all those minerals that it takes out of our salt? Ah, all
It's
the
so kind of
goodness.
them to refine it for us and take all those essential nutrients out. I'll never
Yeah.
forget it says like the key thing underneath it, it says contains no iodine, a necessary ingredient for the body. And I thought, a necessary ingredient for the body and it's been processed out of it. It's like that's so kind of you, number one, to do that. And then to let me know that it's like, I just don't know how to thank them. But that's the
Right
stuff
out
that
there in the
everybody's
open,
eating.
isn't it? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in the open, isn't it, Sean?
Yeah.
So
But we ate
people,
it our entire lives. Like as I was a kid, that was a standard shelf item that we had in the
yes.
house that we just never thought about.
Mhm. We were just conditioned and programmed back then about
Yeah.
something that really does. I mean, why did the ancient Romans pay wages in salt half the time?
Yeah.
Salt
So true.
wages. I mean, it just goes on and on. So,
Yeah.
just to show you, and just kind of, I'm not sure how we're doing time wise, Sean, but these are all of the ideas on the WavWatch for Lyme disease. Now, it doesn't say, Lone Star tick disease in there. I did not find that one. But what I'm telling you is that we have so many frequencies on here. We seem to have the mortal oscillation rate built in for the alpha gal because we have, some testimonies, and we've had quite a few testimonies on Lyme also. And so if you have anybody that that's doing a lot of vomiting or allergic to meat, that's your big thing, become allergic to meat, then they may have that alpha gal syndrome, and start playing this and start taking the minerals and the vitamin C and vitamin B. See what else you can do. Do some research on your own, because you're not going to be able to depend on doctors, And then these are
Right.
other ideas for just Lyme disease. And I see I spelled disease wrong. I can't believe that. Sorry
That's
about
funny.
that. So
It's all
anyway,
good.
you can tell I do these myself because I catch my own
Yeah, and
spelling mistakes.
but you're processing so much information that, to put these together, trust me, I know you work very long hours, very long days, and when you get all this stuff, you want to put together really nice, complete presentations. So, you know what? I think that's actually kind of cute. That's funny.
I can laugh at myself. There you go.
That's right.
So there's other ideas which Sean has kind of already talked about. There's so many other things that you can do, and you don't have to run to the corner Walmart or whatever and try to get something in the middle of the night if your stomach's upset. You can go to stomach and upset and nausea and things like that. Now, just a couple more things. We can run the detox. There's a whole folder for that. I think we're up to about 25 ideas on detoxing. There's different germs, because Lyme disease is made up of bacteria, parasites, viruses, molds, and the list goes on and on. Yet the medical community gives you 2 years of antibiotics. Isn't that crazy? It doesn't even touch the bacteria, because Lyme disease is a spiral shaped bacteria, and antibiotics don't kill that. So, it's a little bit unusual. Think about that. And you're going to have lots of emotional problems. We all do, but give yourself a break with that. Lyme hides in your lymph nodes, so you want to try to clean out your lymph nodes. But then the worst one, Lyme hides in your teeth, in your gums, and the roots of your teeth. So if you haven't heard this, every tooth has 2 to 3 miles of roots. So when you take an antibiotic, it just drives the Lyme disease deeper, and their favorite hiding place is in your teeth. Would you believe
Wow.
that?
I never would have known unless you said that. But
Mhm.
as soon as hold on, I'm going to charge my watch. I'm going to show you how quick and easy this is. I'm going to basically just take this down, and while we're on here, I'm
Okay.
plugging it in.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. So this is huge, 2 to 3 miles of roots. And then when you get emotionally upset or stressed, then the Lyme's disease can work out of your teeth and reinfect you again. So Lyme disease is a problem that just keeps continuing and continuing and continuing, because they're not addressing all the problems. So if you have Lyme or this alpha gal, make sure you're covering all of these dental, play the dental ones to get, things killed inside your teeth and your gums. And then the last one that is really kind of sad is that Lyme loves soft body tissues, especially the gallbladder. So anytime I hear somebody that's had emergency gallbladder problems, guess what? They probably have had Lyme disease. Problems with that. If they've got thyroid problems, it can always be connected to Lyme's disease, 90% of the time in my work, and then the heart, and the brain. So Lyme loves soft body tissues. So that's why we need to be protecting ourselves. So I'm saying, if you have the WavWatch, I just wanted to alert you to the fact that spring is coming up. You may not even know you get bit by a tick. It could be from a mosquito. It can be from a chigger. So you have, after you're outside for a while, I'd be playing the Lyme folder just to protect myself. And like I mentioned before, I've mentioned all of this, but do your own research. Don't just believe me. It's a conglomeration of different types of bacteria and viruses and parasites. And now they're adding yeast and molds to it. So, this is another one. Lyme can be passed by mosquitoes and other insect bites. It's been found in all body fluids. That's why it's so nasty. It has many co-infections, and 365 diseases have been connected with Lyme. So a huge one is Parkinson's. So people may not realize they did a study with 14 people that had Parkinson's and they treated them for Lyme disease and their tremors went away.
It's interesting because I've seen that happen in real time using Rife technology, using Rife frequencies. And they came to us, this one gentleman, it's a testimony on our YouTube page, came claiming that he had Parkinson's. And the symptoms matched very close to Lyme. We ran Lyme
Mhm.
frequencies, and the guy literally walked out without a cane after
Mhm.
about 4 hours of different types of energy-based technology. But they were running the Lyme frequencies. When they heard that, they're like, nah, I don't know. And the thing, this guy was very wealthy. Like, this guy had a lot of money, and he'd been seeing doctors for 4 or 5 years. And I think he was at 7 or 8 doctors, and every single one kept telling him Parkinson's, Parkinson's,
Mhm.
Parkinson's. And you know what's actually crazy about that story is he literally started running, and everybody freaked out. It's like, oh my God, because he came in with an assistant that was helping him like stabilize him. And after 4 hours, he came out of the bathroom and literally started running down the hall. And everybody freaked out, like, oh my God, this guy's going to fall over and hurt himself. And what have we done? And he was just so happy that it was the first time in probably 7, 8, 10 years that he could actually do that, that he just wanted the feeling back of what that felt like. Even if it was 8 or 10 steps, it was like, to him, it was life changing. And I'll never forget that story. And he's one of the testimonials on our YouTube channel. His name was Calvin. Amazing guy, really wonderful guy. But it was a heartbreaking story, but fortunately, it had a happy ending.
There you go. And you know, when somebody comes in my office and they've been to 6 or 7 doctors and they've got 6 or 7 things wrong with them and diseases and stuff, it always points to Lyme disease because look, there's 365 diseases associated with it now, you know? So when they've got more than one problem or somebody that you know, play the Lyme disease folder and everything that I've kind of tried to point out with you, you know? It can be such a long time. And guess what now? Insurance is not covering chronic Lyme disease. So it's really sad. So, you know, testing is also very inaccurate for Lyme disease. They can't pinpoint it because Lyme disease, now we're not talking about the alpha gal because that's just the allergy to the sugar, but the Lyme disease from many other tick bites is when you get that in your system, your body actually can't tell that it's in there because they coat themselves. They have a biofilm, and I think I got a picture of it right here. And so it hides from your body, and your body doesn't recognize it and doesn't fight it. That's why you're sick, you know? And so the antibiotics don't do any good. So it just goes on and it stays in your system for a long time. So this bacteria changes, it fools the immune system and evades antibiotics. Okay. So this is kind of what Lyme disease looks like. And here's this spirochete form up here in the corner, which I was telling you, it's a spiral shaped bacteria that antibiotics does not touch. And then it segues into a biofilm so that it can hide from your body. And then
Wow.
so then their tests are very inaccurate because their tests are looking for antibiotics and your body doesn't make it, you know, doesn't make those antibodies. So they can't tell that you have Lyme disease and they might diagnose you with Parkinson's. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we also have an L form. I'm not as familiar with that one as much, and a cis form, you know. So isn't that that's a great little chart. So that's
It
why
really
Lyme
is.
disease. Mhm.
And
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 again,
yeah,
oh,
that's why you've got 22 frequencies under Lyme because you've got to go after it in so many different ways to get all the different, all the different, I want to say manifestations, but all the different, subcategories of that, because you can really see clearly there how it can break down into so many different forms and so many different types of uh, parasites or,
Right.
parasites slash pathogens.
Yes. And when you take an antibiotic, which is all they know to do, then that makes it change shapes. And then it goes into your teeth or it goes into your organs because it's kind of digging deeper, it's running away from the antibiotics that you've been given. So it goes deeper and it stays, it doesn't work. They're the wrong, it's absolutely the wrong thing to be giving. So do your studies. If someone is suggesting 2 years of antibiotics for you, make sure that's really what you want to do. Now, I just discovered this one in doing some research just this last week, and I was so thrilled with this. Stevia, which is a sugar, which we ought to be using. I grow the stevia plant. I pick my leaves in the fall and, I put them in my tea. And that's mostly how I use it is in my tea. But they do have stevia leaf extracts, and they say they are more the glycerin base, glycerin extracted stevia have used, they've outperformed drugs used to treat Lyme disease. So there's another idea for just taking care of yourself really, really easily. Add that in. The stevia is also known to help with breast cancer and to kill, uh, apoptosis on cancer cells.
Wow.
So how hard is that? Why aren't we taking better care of ourselves? So this is a
Yeah.
new one for me. So I'm going to order this glycerin extracted stevia because I just have it, in my simple leaf form. And I'm going to start carrying that around. I already carry a bag of salt around. And of course, I always have water, and I got my vitamin C and vitamin B, and that's in my car. So I have it everywhere I go. And I'm going to add the glycerin to it also because ticks are rampant and it can be bit by
Yeah.
mosquitoes, don't you? You ever had a
Oh
chigger
yeah.
bite?
Oh
So
yeah.
we need
All the
something to
above.
take care of ourselves. Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then these are some other natural ideas, but mostly the WavWatch is the most all-purpose, immediate, but there could be some other things that you could do. And be careful, springtime is here.
Yeah.
We're having problems with it,
Yeah.
but so that's kind of where, I think, I don't know if I had, no. And then this is the WavWatch. So that's basically the information I had to share. But I just get really enthused about letting people know that there is so much to do with the WavWatch, connecting you with Lyme disease. How are you
I
doing?
pulled
You
it
getting
out.
charged?
I'm
Yeah.
charging, but I just had to pull it out since we're doing one last talk about it. But the WaveWatch is such a great product. You know, I love, Linda, that we get in and address so many different things, and you really go into a lot of great detail. So, for people that are out there, like I said, initially starting off, mouth, teeth, gums, prostate, hair loss, inflammation, joint pain, there's just everything in there. And then the other ones that are really beneficial that, for maintenance, liver detox, thyroid detox, kidney, run those detox codes. It's such a great device. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, could I listen to the frequencies on my stereo or something? I'm thinking, yeah, you can. And you've got a lot of really great testimonials where the husband and wife are sleeping in bed together, the watch is playing, and like that story that you had with the airplane, both people are getting benefit because the other person was within sound range of being able to hear the watch and hear the frequencies. So,
Or even just touch. So, like you
yeah,
could be playing anxiety and your pet is on your lap and they absorb frequencies.
that is just so awesome. I love it so much. So a great, great call today. Great information. I'm going to post this online like we always do. Now, Linda, one thing I always have to say, if you go to our website, you're going to save $100 mention the video, but you're going to go on the website. We've got it specially priced right now for $100 discount for the thousand frequency watch. So you can go to the website below and mention that, and you're going to save $100. And it's such a great product, such great value. Linda, before we sign off today, is there anything that you'd like to finish off by saying?
I don't know. I just think that you are spreading the word amazingly about the WavWatch. So I appreciate you so much.
I just love it. I just love it. I love you and Carl, and I haven't met the kids, but it's such a great story, such a great product. It's, so much value for such a small amount of money. Thanks for all that you do, getting this out there and helping spread the word. Because I know, you're out there doing a lot of podcasts and really getting into these categories, and you're really putting out a lot of great information. And ultimately, it's the knowledge that people get that helps them make educated decisions, not just on the Wave Watch, but all the other things that they can do
Everything.
that go along with it. Because the more layers of things you can do with stevia, with salt, with all these other things that go along with, technology, it all makes a difference. So, Linda, as always, thank you so much. We love you. And Riley misses you. And I know she wanted to be on this call. She missed the flight game late today, but we will look forward to seeing you again. I'm going to sign off on this call, and then stay with me here for just a sec. I'll say goodbye and we'll finish up.
All right.